Welcome to the Apprenticeship Hub podcast. Today I'm with Torin from Nestlé. Welcome to the Apprenticeship Hub podcast this morning. Thank you for coming along.
Thank you for having me.
We're here this morning to find out a bit more about what apprenticeship you are involved in, why you chose that route, and understand what different options are available. So, what apprenticeship are you actually completing at Nestlé?
So I'm completing the Chartered Management Degree Apprenticeship, which is quite a mouthful, but it's a level 6 apprenticeship where I work and study on a degree at the side. My apprenticeship within Nestlé specifically is a little different to I think most, because within my 3-year course, they rotate me around different job functions. So that means I spend like 4 6-month placements in different commercial schemes like sales or marketing, that kind of thing. And then in my final year, I get to choose specifically what I'd like to do and kind of specialize in there as a final year subject area, which I really, which you really enjoy.
Yeah, fab. It sounds really interesting, different. And with the movement around the departments as well, it kind of gives you that opportunity to find what's right for you as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the big reasons that I chose the scheme in the first place is that you can go into it understanding that, in my case, I just left school. I didn't know what I wanted to really do as a career. But that was fine. It was okay to say that in that kind of position because the whole point of the scheme is that you try things out and, maybe you really like the idea of something and actually it's not what it was meant to be at all. And it can be the quite opposite. And so it's really fine to say that actually, I don't know what I want to do yet, but the scheme helps you really figure that out.
Fab. I was just going to ask you, why did you choose an apprenticeship route? So was that one of the main drivers that you wanted to kind of...
Yeah, there's a few reasons. I suppose the biggest one is that when I finished my levels, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do as a career, and therefore choosing a university course wasn't really obvious as a decision. Like there was no course that clearly stood out to me. At the same time, I was all right at school, but I didn't enjoy it that much. And so the idea of carrying on with this really hard academic route didn't particularly appeal to me. And then ultimately, what I liked doing more than while I was in school was doing like the extracurriculars. So, doing public speaking or taking all these opportunities or volunteering, that kind of thing. And that's what I really enjoyed doing. And I thought, well, that's the kind of thing I want to do more of. And so I talked with my head of sixth form and he said, well, there's degree apprenticeships out there which can probably give you that opportunity. And so I looked around and then this kind of fit everything because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And this apprenticeship was great for that because you could try things out. It was also just the overall degree I didn't mention is in business management, which is nice in general. But also just the kind of environment means that I could naturally do all these kind of extracurricular things naturally, like what I'm doing here today, I suppose. So it kind of just lent itself to everything.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because I suppose when you do sort of a business related one, you can take that anywhere, can't you? You're not specialised it down, but it's also giving you the experience alongside within an industry, but in lots of different areas within that different industries to take with you. What were the response of sort of your friends and family and things like that around you taking an apprenticeship route? Because people have got different opinions and perceptions around them.
Yeah, I'd say I'm fairly lucky as in there was no, horrible response by any means. My parents, I think, are probably some of the chillest parents in the world. And, in their eyes, as long as I know what I'm doing and I think it's the right choice, it's, Nestle was a big company. They thought, that's good. It's a good opportunity. They were, very happy about it. Within school, I think, I went to an all boys grammar school and it's quite, natural that, still the kind of route that most kids are pushed down is going to university. But my school was actually very accommodating for that kind of thing. And we did have, people from companies come in every week to give like talks on apprenticeships and that kind of thing. And so the option was certainly not, discouraged. And the school that I went to gave me lots of personal help, preparing for interviews and doing mock questions and all that kind of thing. So I think it actually went very well.
Yeah, I was going to say it's great to hear that that's something that's very much been driven at the moment is to get more speak about in schools and educational settings about apprenticeships and that they're a viable route and at all different levels. So it's great to hear that, especially in a sort of an all-boys setting and things like that they were bringing that through to you because sometimes they've been more pushed in sort of your comprehensive settings rather than your higher ed sort of private settings and things like that. So it's really great to see that them options were coming through to you as well. What do you enjoy the most about your apprenticeship? We all have to do a job, but it's always nice to enjoy it alongside.
It's quite difficult. I think ultimately like the job, like the actual day-to-day job, I really enjoy. But beyond that, I suppose the the things I enjoy about my apprenticeship in general, I suppose, is one, I mentioned at the start that I've had the choice to go around lots of different functions, and some of them I really like and some of them I don't like, and that's okay. But ultimately that means I've got this broader context of different parts of the business. So even though I don't like certain functions, for example, by being in that function, I've gained so much knowledge, which helps me in my current one, which maybe someone else just hasn't had. Because naturally, if someone, say, just comes out of university and they choose a function or some part of their career, it's really hard to kind of branch out sideways without, making a big change there. But I've kind of already had that done for me. And then also because, Nestle is quite a big company and we have lots of different apprenticeship programs, there's a really big community within my employer especially. And so you don't feel like you're alone, because I'd say, God, across the whole business, there's at least 100 apprentices at one time, probably even double that. I couldn't be sure. But it's just nice to know that there's plenty of people around you who are in the same boat. And so we're all really good friends. The next person on this podcast, Grace, is in the year below, but we'll always have lunch together. We'll always help each other out. We have this kind of buddy system, so we can always support each other. And there's lots of initiatives through the employer as well that makes sure we're looked after.
Yeah, that's fab. It's great to hear that that's kind of how it kind of nurturing environment, because again, apprenticeships can have that reputation that you're the only one, you're treated different, you're the youngest one in a business in some cases and things like that. So it's really great to hear that actually there's employers out there that are really setting the example of how to do apprenticeships well and making them an environment that's supportive for them people within them as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of, before I even applied, one of the big misconceptions was that it's just making tea for people and it's not a proper job, because I think apprenticeships might have had that stigma, a long time in the past. And it's definitely not the case now. And in fact, all the jobs I've done are the same jobs that a graduate would get when they come right out of uni. It's the same level, it's the same exact thing. And it gives you a lot of confidence as an apprentice, because when I went into some functions, when I first joined marketing, I thought, I've got no marketing degree, I've got no experience, and I got a bit of cold feet because I didn't feel like, who am I? But actually, I was it was actually really good. It was fine, because you learn so much, but you're given a real proper job with responsibility, but it's not as daunting as it sounds. And ultimately, that's what you want.
Yeah, to do the hands-on stuff, isn't it? And get involved with it. So what does an average week look like for you? Because all apprenticeships are set up so differently.
Yeah, it's a difficult question.
It's a hard question,
the nature of my job means that no week's exactly the same. I don't think I mentioned my current job. So I did like some 6-month placements in different bits, and then I decided I really like marketing, specifically brand management. So then in my final year, I got the position of the assistant brand manager for KitKat, which is really cool.
That's
but also
a hell of a title to come as well.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
pretty cool. It's nice saying that you work on KitKat's a massive brand, so it feels good to say that you can work on it. The actual a week in the job, like I said, it varies all the time. The ultimate goal that me and my team are trying to do is grow the brand. So I'd say there's kind of like 4 main aspects to it. The first is that I get to work with a lot of like these really big data companies. So like when you go to a supermarket and you scan something through the till, I get to like review all of that data and understand how people are shopping and why they're shopping. And then you can identify patterns and trends to make, a nice piece of insight about chocolate that I work in. And then I can use that insight, and then me and my team have to develop the plan of what we want to do with the KitKat brand for the whole year. So that might be launching new products or doing certain advertisements, or it could be anything. So there's a pretty heavy project management element to it as well. Then there's e-commerce and like online selling, which is something I'm tasked on specifically. So making sure that our brand's in the right spaces online. And then ultimately there's every year, once we create our plans, there's big presentations that we have to do to the sales team. And then in turn, I get invited to do customer sales with, the big customers, as it were, that you buy your food and drinks from. And you have to sell that into them. And it's fun because I really like presenting things.
Sounds like you're doing a job that a lot of people would work their whole career to get into that job, if that makes sense. So somebody be like, oh yeah, I'm assistant brand manager for KitKat, would be a job that somebody would work a lot of their career to get into that job role. Whereas actually you're being given that responsibility at this point.
I'm flattered that you would say such.
Well, from an outside, I suppose that's how it, in marketing, I think that would kind of be the role that people would work towards. Whereas actually you're getting it right at the onset of your career, which is a great standpoint. I presume it's because Nestle want to keep you and build talent within. But it's a great standpoint to get all that skills and experience to be pitching to like the big supermarkets and things like that. Right at this point in your career is a awesome opportunity to be given, I suppose.
I think so. But if anything, I think it should be a point of inspiration for everyone else because, as you said, I'm just an apprentice. I've not even been at the company 3 years and I'm doing that kind of thing. You know, I just came straight out of school, and it shows that this kind of thing really is possible.
Yeah, you can do it with given the support and the skills and the opportunities. People are able to do these things. Just in terms of your apprenticeship, so with the degree side of things, how is that structured? So when do you actually work on it, and how are you given the time to work towards it? Is it sort of blocks of time or?
Yeah, so how it works for me specifically is that on average, I'll say it varies, you know, as and when, but generally I'll work for 6 weeks doing my normal job. And then on the 7th week, me and all the other apprentices in my year get sent to university. So our university is Sheffield Hallam, and we'll spend 1 week there doing our study blocks, learning whatever the module is. And then you go all the way back up, in my case, to York. And some of the apprentices are in Gatwick, so they have to take the very long train back down there. And then it's back to work. However, therefore, in between those study blocks, I think it's with all apprenticeships, we have the government 20% off the job learning, which it roughly equates to just 1 day out of 5. You should be dedicating your time at work to either university work or learning beyond what is your normal job. And that's how it's balanced. And I mean, I think my employer is super chill. And, you know, all my managers that I've ever had, you know, if I need more time to do uni work, I'm always going to get that time. You know, it's all just about managing your workload. And while the university side of things, you know, it's not easy, there's a lot of work to do, and you've got a full-time job, which has its responsibilities with it. It's always, at least I've always found it's been really manageable to just, there's sometimes you need to do more time at university, sometimes less, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's quite good that they're responsive to that as well, and encourage you and support you along that. Obviously, every apprentice is meant to have a mentor. So do you have a mentor, and how do you feel that mentoring relationship has helped you to progress during your apprenticeship?
Yeah, I'd say I have numerous mentors almost. I think some would even say like the amount of support that Nestle gives you is a lot. I've got, like you point out, a mentor between like the university side who makes sure that, you know, I'm feeling comfortable about my academic progress, that I'm achieving all the things I need to do to get like my end qualifications. And I have every other month I have a catch up with them and my line manager, all 3 of us, to make sure that everything's going on track. And everything is going on track.
Good to know.
Of course. And then beyond that, even outside of the academic side of it specifically, just internally in Nestle, there's always support schemes. Whether, you know, and I do some of them myself. You know, can act as a mentor to lower year apprentices myself. But when I was just joined the business, I had a buddy that was given to me. Or, you know, there's specific people in the business called apprenticeship champions. There's one in each function, and it's their job, you know, their extra job to make sure that you are specifically feeling comfortable and looked after, and that, you know, you're getting the most out of your time there. Fantastic.
So I think I probably know the answer to this, but would you recommend an apprenticeship?
I would, definitely. And, you know, I go to quite a few careers fairs now, and I went back to my old like home school and did a careers fair there, and, you know, they even let me speak a bit, and, you know, certainly I would wholeheartedly recommend it. And of course I'm a little bit biased, of course, but I think there's, you know, really clear objective advantages to, you know, I'm doing a degree apprenticeship, but apprenticeships in general, you know, I've got friends who have done ones even earlier, you know, when they left school at 16. I think the positives are immense. I'm not, you know, I won't say that, you know, if you want to be a doctor, you need to go to university. And I'm not going to say there's suddenly an apprenticeship out of nowhere, but I think it's certainly one to consider more so than ever before.
Yeah, fantastic. All of it. Thank you so much for that. That was just what we wanted to hear, really. And it's good to hear that people are having such positive apprenticeship experiences out there in workplaces, and that employers are doing a really good job of creating the right environment for apprentices to flourish as well, which is important. Thank you so much for today. That was brilliant.
No problem.
Thank you.